So if you haven't been with us before, or if you have, we want to welcome you to this edition of Muskies Mondays. Tonight, we've got on our team a few folks from our residence life and campus safety departments. As I mentioned before, we are recording tonight's presentation. And we do invite you to share any questions that you may have in the chat. We'll moderate those as our time goes on, and be sure that the questions that may have brought you to tonight's session are answered before you go. We have a few things to chat about, but I also want to be sure that you know who you're chatting with. So, as I said, my name is Meg. I'm the Director of First Year Experience here at Lakeland, and I have been at Lakeland since 1999. And I've played a variety of roles at the university, including being a faculty member, being in academic affairs, but I have never lived on campus. So I'm really glad that my good friend, Mark Edmond, is here. Mark, would you mind introducing yourself?
Of course not. Thank you, Meg. I'm Mark Edmond. I'm the Director for Residence Life. I have been in this role for about 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was the Director for Cooperative Education. And prior to that, I was a student here. Oh my gosh, the year after Meg's first year in 2000. But I've been back for a little over 3 years now. Totally love what I do and love the experiences that I get to have with our student population. And yeah, that's who I am. Happy to be.
Awesome. We're glad you're here, Mark. And we have one more guest with us this evening, Chris Ringel, who, Chris, would you mind introducing yourself to the group?
Yeah, sure. I'm Chris Ringel. I'm the Director for Campus Safety here at Lakeland University. I have been here since 2013 in a role of just a basic security officer, and just slowly made my way up. And I've been helping out the university for almost 8 years now. So that's what I do. This is kind of my second job. By day, I'm actually a police officer, so I get to run a police department and bring that experience to all of you as well.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're both here to help us prepare for move-in, which is going to happen for some folks sooner rather than later, and to help everybody understand what might be some good things to plan for as they think about transitioning to life on our campus. So I think what we'll do is, if it's okay with you two, is start with just an invitation to share any general overviews that you would like to share about your department, whether it's some, best practices, or, what services are available, why it might be good to know the folks in Res Life or the folks in campus safety. And then we'll pivot and talk a little bit more about some of the things that would be specific to moving on to campus in the next 4 weeks or so. So Mark, would you mind giving us just a brief overview of residence life? What does the department include? How might a new student engage with representatives of your department?
Awesome, no worries. All right, so residence life, briefly, in a nutshell, I will say it's your community away from the community you're in now. We are a large group of people with different personalities, different mindsets. We all come from different backgrounds and walks of life, and we all share the same goal, and that's, making sure that we're doing the best that we can in life. That could be, of course, academically. That could totally be within athletics. That could be even spiritually. Your emotional thought process, and just how you do things on a regular basis. We're here to serve you and help this experience be the best it can be within your living arrangements. I have a great team of individuals who will help you out, called hall directors. They run the halls that you would be in. They kind of serve as the mom and dad of the hall. And then we have a group of RAs, which are resident assistants. They help you like a big brother, a big sister, or a big cousin would. They have some experience. They've been in that hall before, or they've been at Lakeland before. They could share with you, the do's and don'ts and some of the opportunities you'll have to make decisions yourself. They'll give you some tools to help you make those decisions. But we truly serve as a support. We'll offer programming and activities for you. So let's say, if you love doing art, there are times where there'll be some paint and some paint brushes, of course, and big canvases that you could paint just for an activity. They can help you with finding folks with tutoring, and that's a whole nother dynamic, but they're there to help you in that realm as well. But we are just a dynamic group from every walk of life to help you on your process while at Lakeland. You will find us all over the place. It's over 30 of us that are on staff. When you first show up, you will see us in these bright t-shirts with LU Residence Life, so it's hard to miss us. And I'm kind of loud. It's going to be hard to miss me too when you show up on campus. I'll be loud enough where you'll see me and know where I'm at. So that's us in a nutshell. We take care of you on your new walk and new journey while you're on campus.
That sounds great. So all of those folks that you just described, hall directors, RAs, they all live right in the hall. So they are really literally present whenever students are in those halls as well. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. And you'll even have their phone number. Like, they have these awesome cell phones, right? And I'm sure you guys know how to text and send messages and call. You can reach out to them just like you would anybody that you know. So they're always available to you.
That's great. Thanks, Mark. We'll have some more specific questions in a little bit. So Chris, can you give us an overview of how campus safety, why campus safety might matter in the lives of our students? Obviously, we have a really safe campus. So why might they want to know the campus safety department? What are some things that campus safety does to provide this inclusive, welcoming environment that Mark is talking about and the supportive space?
So I think the biggest thing to piggyback off of everything Mark was talking about is it doesn't matter which department you're talking about, whether we're talking about where Meg works, where Mark is working, where I'm working, we're all one huge team. So we work together to achieve all those goals that Mark was talking about. So more specifically for campus safety, yeah, we are that semi-quasi, little police department on campus. So yes, we get that authoritarian role. If somebody violates a policy or a rule, we're probably going to be there talking to you, and those things get reported. But above and beyond that, there are some specific services. If you have a vehicle on campus, you lock your keys in your car, we can help you. Battery is dead, we can help you jumpstart your car. Give you a safe ride if something just doesn't seem right. It's like, hey, can somebody walk with me? Somebody give me a ride from one side of campus to the other. I broke my foot in sports, and I can't get from this dorm to that dorm. We're here to help you out. The other thing to remember is we're here 24/7. So besides the hall directors who are in your RAs who are in your buildings, we're also here for all those supportive measures that Mark was talking about. So we love it when you come down. It's like, hey, I'm just feeling anxious. It's my first year on campus. Stop in, talk to us, give us a call. We'll come over to your dorm. My officers that work here are all trained to the same standard that I hold my police officers to where I work, so that they can help you mitigate those crises, those emergencies, and things like that. So, really, we try to be more full service. We're not just here to be, we're the authoritarians. That's all we're here for. It's so much more than that. We're all about the Lakeland community and making sure you have a good experience when you're here, and trying to be part of that experience, help out the other teams so that they can deliver that same experience for you.
So if they want to come visit the two of you, where would they find you on campus? Are you in the same space? Where might a new family, a new student go to get to know the Residence Life team or get to know the campus safety team?
All right, so I'm lucky. Like, I'm in the middle of campus, the younger campus center. Then there's a little area called the Lauer Center. I sit right smack dab in the middle of those offices, big lights, doors always open. So right in the heart of the campus center, in the Lauer Center.
Right. So they'll see you when they're passing through to go to the coffee shop, when they're hanging out, and you're in that neck of the woods. That's great.
You'll see me when you don't want to see me. I'm always there, like the Matrix.
Okay, and for campus safety, we're located on the lower level of Bratz Hall. Hopefully you shouldn't have to look too hard for us because our officers are also out patrolling. So you hope if you see one of them on a golf cart or in the campus safety patrol car, they're readily available. You just pick up the cell phone, give us a call. Like I said, that phone's monitored 24/7. So it's real easy to find one of us typically. If you just want to come visit and say hi, we're Bratz Hall, lower level, just enter off the north side of the building.
That's great. So I know Bratz Hall is one of the halls that new families, new students will be moving into in a few weeks. So maybe we can talk a little bit about what that move-in process looks like. We've started to see some questions on our Facebook page for parents and for students about what should students bring? What are some good things to leave behind? What should they expect on move-in day? And so, Mark, I'm wondering, given your experience in this area, if you wouldn't mind either pointing us to a resource that families can consult or giving us a few do's and don'ts that, might help them decide as they're putting together their gear for the fall, what would be really helpful to their student.
All right, so the first thing I'll talk about is the resource. On the Lakeland website, you can go to the Residence Life page, and then probably the third thing you'll see is an FAQ, so frequently asked questions for freshmen that are typically asked. And there's a sheet there that will display all sorts of information for you. But as far as what that process will look like for move-in day, I kind of start a party on this day. You're going to see some tents. You're going to hear some music. And again, you're going to see Residence Life staff in shirts helping you walk through your facility or the hall that you'll be living in. So we did mention Bratz Hall. That is one of our freshman buildings. And then A.M. Krieger Hall is the other freshman building. And they are right next to each other. The only thing that separates them is a small walkway and a nice yard. So you'll be able to come there and check in with our Residence Life staff. If they're not smiling, let me know. Once you check in, you'll be able to walk into your space. You'll have help from family. Now, I know one of the major questions that might come up is, oh my goodness, it's COVID time. Are we wearing masks? Do we not have on masks? How are we going to work this? With COVID being so fluid, we are still testing that out, and information will come out shortly about how we're going to do this process. Actually, today we just sent out a survey just to understand, if you could be vaccinated, would you be? All this stuff is confidential, so we're just trying to grab some data to make that decision. But as you're walking through the facility, you will see RAs helping and assisting and pointing you in the right direction. Now, as far as what to bring, I would say what makes you feel comfortable, that's safe. So some folks will bring a TV. They will bring their video game system. One of the first things I would bring is something to play music and snacks. I like to eat. So make sure you bring those things. Yes, you can have a refrigerator, microwave with you. What we're not allowing would be like a pizza oven maker. We do have kitchens available, so you could use the ones that we have provided for you. We're just not looking for those to be in your rooms. Another, maybe you shouldn't bring this one, would be a candle. Anything that would cause a fire or a fire hazard, we kind of stay away from those things. What you can do is bring in the Glade plugins, or I know a lot of people shop at, what's the place? Bath and Body. Get you some Bath and Body plugins. My favorite in my office is a candle melter, just from a hot light. That's legal. I made sure I checked before I bought it. but I have those in my office to help with the smells. Again, bring, sheets, blanket. If you got a teddy bear, I'm not against that. Bring your favorite teddy bear. Just things that make you feel comfortable throughout your process. Now, back in my day, I would say, yeah, make sure you bring an alarm clock, but most of our cell phones have that on them. If you're from the old school and you want to bring an alarm clock, go for it. But just the dynamics and lifestyles that you have in your room that make you comfortable, feel free to do so. Even if it's a picture. I've seen people bring trophies that make them feel closer to home. Just the dynamics that make you feel comfortable is what I would bring. And again, that list does have a lot of info. You don't need to bring a wireless router. You can bring your own computer. We have all that stuff taken care of for you as far as the internet. Cable dynamic, you don't need to bring a cable cord. We have all that for you. So, and again, if I miss something, go ahead and ask the question later. I don't want to jump on Meg's thunder here.
No, this is good stuff. This is exactly what I think folks are starting to ask about. So, some of the things that I know folks, I appreciate you talking about, our policy on candles. I know those are always really comforting, but I appreciate the fact that they're not necessarily safe in a communal living situation, but that there are options to substitute in. So one thing I know that sometimes gives our students comfort are their pets. And so what is the policy on having animals in the residence halls?
It's a great question, Meg. So I will talk about what you can bring, right? So if you have a 5-gallon fish tank, you can bring that. A lot of people don't know that, but I'll start with that one because folks just don't think they can bring anything. But you can have a 5-gallon fish tank. Now, the only way you can bring another animal to campus, such as a dog, a cat, a guinea pig, I shouldn't say this, small horses, those are on campuses too, but you would have to have an ESA, an emotional support animal, in order to bring that. And if you guys want that information, please feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with Karen, who runs that dynamic for us. But you can't bring those pets without an emotional support animal process going through. That's it on the pet dynamic. No birds, no bats, anything else that shouldn't be. Go ahead, man.
So you mentioned a 5-gallon tank. You didn't say what could go in the tank. So somebody might have a snake in a tank. Somebody might have a tortoise in a tank. Somebody might have toads in a tank. So what can go in the tank?
This is why Meg is in the role she's in. Yes, that was a great question. A fish, no snakes. We did have a turtle up here once. They snuck this one past me, but just fish, small fish. Great question.
And what is included in the room? So what are some things, I know there was some question on the Facebook page a while back about chairs. Do students need to bring their own chairs? So what are the furnishings that every room has? And what are some things that you've seen students bring, in addition to the fridge or the television or the gaming system?
Yeah, so every room has a desk. Now, let's say me and Chris are roommates. We are in a double room. There would be 2 desks and 2 chairs for us. Every room has a dresser drawer for each individual in the room. There's also closet space for those individuals as well. So some of the extra things that people would bring if they love clothing, I've seen a lot of folks bring those plastic bins or totes to place more clothing items in. I've seen a lot of students bring in small tables just to put all sorts of stuff on top. It could be the TV, it could be their refrigerator. I've also seen a lot of books that would go on these extra tables because of their desks were full with books as well. So those are the extra things people would bring. But when we think about Bratz Hall, it's a space where you're sharing a living room. We have a table, we have couches, we have TVs. There's a small kitchen in there. So if you'd like to bring appliances to help yourself cook, or silverware or plasticware, feel free to bring those items as well.
So if they want to seek accommodations for a particular animal or for a specific kind of housing accommodation, when should they start that process? How much lead time is needed to kind of review the request and to make sure that they know who's able to come to campus with them and who's not? You're muted.
I usually get that. Dang. That process can start right now. We would love for you to start reaching out to us immediately. It doesn't take a long time for us to get this stuff done. Again, we're a small campus. I could walk to Karen's office. You can walk to mine. We can make quick phone calls, but I would give it a week and a half leeway time. Karen's sometimes a lot faster than that. So, but that process should start immediately so we can make sure you're taken care of.
Great, thank you, Mark. And speaking of things to bring or not to bring to campus, Chris, is there anything that you would want to make sure that families know about that would help them decide what kinds of things that their student can have or what we can store for them?
Yeah, and sometimes we do get, believe it or not, people ask if they can bring a firearm, or hey, I'm a deer hunter, can I bring my bow and arrow with me? We would prefer that you don't. It just mitigates other issues and with storage and things like that. But if for some reason a student is here and they're going to be remaining on campus over the Thanksgiving break or Christmas break, and they are a hunter and they've got family in the area or somewhere they're going to go, campus safety can help you out with that. We've got secure facilities where we can store those items, check in those items into a safe. Again, the preference is that we don't have those items on campus. But if it's a necessity, we understand and we can help you out with that. Other than that, I can't think of anything, off the top of my head that I would touch on.
Great, thanks. I see that one of our guests has asked about the storage space underneath the beds. This seems to be a hot topic. So can you tell us a little bit about not only what you can do with the beds, Mark? I know, there's different configurations you can do. And if they do want to set it up so that there is storage under the space, how much storage? Do you happen to know anything about the height there?
Mm-hmm. So our beds can be adjusted. Majority of our beds are set at the 18-inch mark underneath from where the bottom of the bed is for spacing. So majority are at 18 inches. But you can stack the beds and create bunks. You can, adjust the room and have it the way you like. I know a lot of folks are talking about trying to do lofts in our spaces. Not yet. We're not there yet. We're working on being able to have our beds lofted. But if you would like to adjust the bed a little lower from the 18-inch mark, all you have to do is reach out to our facilities team or come to us first, Res Life, and we'll get a hold of facilities for you, and we can get your bed adjusted if you'd like.
That's great. I know this is the time when all those back to school sales are happening, and you want to make sure that you get the right gear when you're taking advantage of those great coupons. So right. That's helpful.
And yeah, also I know a lot of folks want to do the bed risers too to lift them up a little bit on their own. Because our beds have different sizes, and as a safety measure, we don't allow that just for the safety dynamic of it. But that's why we'll do the adjustments ourselves with the frames.
That's good to know. That's good to know. And What about bedding? I mean, is there a certain size of bedding? I know when you go into the store, right, they've got twin XL and they've got twin. And I mean, do they have to have a mattress pad? And what about pillows? And talk us through this. Are the rooms warm? Are they air conditioned? What do we need to know?
Look at this, all these fantastic questions. So yes, the mattress is a twin extra large or extra long, excuse me. Um, a regular twin bed would work anyway, but that extra long piece, they both fit. I don't see the big difference. Um, yes, I would for sure bring your favorite pillow, sheets, blankets. Um, what was the other thing you brought up, Meg?
Mattress pad, like those.
Yeah. So some students do bring their own mattress pad. Our beds, they're not like super thin, but if you're used to a pillow top or a firm mattress, some people do bring those extras with them, no problem. Um, yeah.
And how about air conditioning? Are the rooms
Oh
air
yeah.
conditioned, or should people be bringing fans? Can you open the windows? What do
hmm
you recommend in that area?
Yeah, I just got sad because when I was at Lakeland, there was no AC in any room I was in. So all of the spaces our freshmen will be moving to have air conditioning. If you're living in AM Krieger, you'll be able to control your own dial, just like going to a hotel. If you live in Bratz, there's also an air conditioner and heating element that you could toy with within the main lobby. Um, so yes, you can bring a fan if you'd like, but we kind of make sure you're comfortable. It gets a little frigid in Sheboygan or Plymouth, and sometimes it can get a little hot. So we do have the HVAC system running strong on our campus. But if you like the fan, I know some people like it for noise. You can bring it, or if you like it super cool, you can bring a fan too. No space heaters though. Thank you, Meg. Look at this. Fantastic. Again, fire hazard. That's why we don't
Sure,
allow the space heaters in.
sure. So, in terms of kind of moving to campus, I think, some families will be bringing students and dropping them off. Some families will bring two cars and the student keeps one on campus. Chris, what do we need to know about parking permits and parking lots and the accessibility of parking on campus for those students who have their own vehicle?
Sure, we have plenty of areas for those students to park. It's a little tighter on the other side of campus where we have some construction going on. But for this side of campus, if you're going to bring a vehicle, it's absolutely fine. Stop in campus safety. Actually, you'll probably get it in a packet from Res Life. Mark and I still need to talk through how we're going to do it this year, but it did really work out great last year. You were able to just talk to your RA or hall director, a form you fill out. We get that. We'll supply you with a parking pass. It's absolutely free. You don't have to worry about that. If you lose it and got to replace it, there might be a small nominal cost. But initially, it's the first pass is free. And the passes are color coded to the area that you live. So if you're here in Bratz Hall or if you're in Kruger Hall, you'll get the general pass and you'll be able to park in any of the lots. And if you go to that website that I put in the chat, there's a section on parking. It tells you what lots can be parked in overnight, which ones are only for visiting or for our night students and things like that. So it really drills it down very specifically for you. So
That's great. And so do students, I know we've got some folks who are probably closer, may have already had a chance to visit campus. We probably have some families who may not have had the chance to visit due to some of the challenges of the past year. Do students usually need their cars to get from their hall to their class, or is the car usually for moving around off campus? What are you finding?
a little bit of both, but we really are a nice, close campus that you can walk for any part of campus to the other side within a couple of minutes. It's not that far to walk. Some students decide, especially if you're over in the apartments as a upperclassman, sometimes they'll drive over to Chase because they got a class at Chase. And that's fine as long as you make sure you're parking in a spot that you're allowed to park in, because like I said, here's that semi-quasi police department thing going on. You could get a parking ticket from us, and those parking tickets come with a cost, and then you got to pay the university. You're already paying enough money to be here, so we don't want to make you pay more money. So just make sure you're following those parking rules. But yeah, we have ample parking on campus for everyone.
And as folks are coming to campus, I know, Mark, that you said we're really still working out the last details of our move-in day, really. I think one of the things, and I just want to make sure I heard you, students received a very brief survey today that went to their Lakeland email account. So that would be a good thing for students to look at, to look for. Part of the reason we're asking for this information now is so that we can establish a really safe move-in policy. So what we're really trying to assess is who's already been vaccinated and who has not, and whether that is likely to happen before move-in occurs. Is that right? It's probably like a 2 or 3 question survey that's completely anonymous, as you said. Is that, am I remembering that correctly?
Yep, absolutely correct. It took me about 1 minute and 10 seconds maybe to do a very short survey. And again, data speaks, and it's going to help us make decisions. So you're absolutely correct.
So what are some of the things that we do to try to keep the campus safe, and that we have done to try to keep the campus safe as we've moved through the past year? I know obviously we've done pretty darn well, but I think that's partly because our students have been really cooperative and helpful. Our employees have been really engaged. But what are some things that we have done in terms of safety in the halls, things that we know have worked, and some things that we might ask students to do to stay safe in the year ahead?
Well, first and foremost, we took a pledge to one another that we're going to do the best we can to keep everyone safe. This was before we put any rules and regulations in place. We just said, look, all of us are going to do the best we can to keep one another safe. And if you're on board with that, sign on the dotted. So we created a personal contract with one another. We wore masks. And even before I even get into that, I always share it this way. There's always a bar, right? There's always a bar you need to hit. You can always go up with that bar, but you never want to take that bar lower. So what we've done is, let's say this is the bar of the CDC. We have this awesome person named David Simon who helps us throughout COVID. He elevated our bar here. And so that has kept us safe. We wear the mask. We clean up our halls more than just our custodial staff. Some of our hall directors and RAs will walk around every few hours and just spray down some spaces and wipe them down. We hold each other accountable when it came to the mask dynamic. And we had students checking students and students checking staff. There were some times I started walking out of my office maskless, and the students say, "Hey, Mark, where's your mask? Remember the oath? Remember what we said we would do for one another." So I think we all hold one another accountable. We have a lot of student athletes on campus, and we did antigen tests, the quick rapid test 3 times a week, just to make sure that we were okay with one another. We kind of limited a lot of the guests from off campus coming to us. And again, as Meg alluded to, it kept us safe. We created our own little bubble here in Plymouth, and our numbers were extremely low compared to the community and other higher ed institutions. And I just think that we cared for one another and took that oath seriously. And I think that's what really helped us out. We believed in one another and developed a lot of trust.
The other thing I'll throw in there is, we really took as a leadership team, making sure we were transparent with that information. So if you actually go to the website, lakeland.edu, we have a coronavirus dashboard that tells what our active cases are if we have any on campus. It also has what our policies are campus-wide, not only for the students, but for the staff and the faculty as well. So, we always have that information out there for you, and we accommodate you. I know Mark and I, through the initial part of that pandemic, we worked a lot with making sure that, if somebody did end up with a case of coronavirus while they were on campus, that we were able to provide them with a safe space to be, while keeping everybody else safe as well. And if it was just for 14 days, well, they got through the virus, and it really worked out well. We bring you your meals, we bring you everything. So it's a full service endeavor from all of us.
Well, I want to thank you both for all the efforts that you did. I think it was just really nice to know that so many folks were looking out for each other and really working towards the goal of getting to where we are today. We've been able to open up a bit more, of course, as the community has embraced vaccination, and as we've been able to maintain those very, very low levels of infection. So we're really optimistic that, we'll continue to keep getting back to our pre-pandemic state a bit. And we're really just, I think, hoping to get a sense of how much our broader community may be prepared for that by taking this survey. And then once we have a sense of that, then that'll really help us anchor some of those last minute details so that they are specific to the needs of our specific community, as opposed to, general guideline. We'll always take that good science into account, but we also want to see where our community itself is. So I want to be sure that folks online still know that they can post questions in the chat. I appreciate the ones we're getting. And Becky, yours is one that I was actually thinking about. So meal plans and dining services. So Mark, can you tell us a little bit about what is available? When is it available? What is the variety that families might be able to choose from as they think about those meal plans, and maybe even changing them as they get into that first term?
Bread and water, that's it. I'm joking. So when your athlete comes, they will get the 3 meals per day throughout dining services. We do realize some of our student athletes eat a little bit more, so sometimes the coaches will provide extra snacks for them. And there's even been times where dining services host an extra meal for them if they have that late night practice. So yes, the meal plans will be available. They'll be in full swing. Our coffee shop will be in full swing, called the Daily Grind as well. And it's not just coffee there. They actually make some, I shouldn't have them because I'm a diabetic, but they make these awesome milkshakes and they add protein to them as well. So there's all sorts of food, and mini tacos, not from experience, donuts, not from experience, pizzas that are there for your student when they come with the meal plans, even if they do come early. We are a 24-hour operation. We still have students on campus now from, the fall to spring to summer. So we're always open, and the kitchen is always buzzing.
And so if a student has specific dietary restrictions, how do they make those known to us so that we can continue to provide food that is going to help them?
Yep, good question. So even on the application, you could talk about if you have any dietary restrictions. And again, we're a close-knit community. All you have to do is say the word. Our dining services director and assistant director welcome all sorts of feedback. Or if you even let them know, hey, I can't have this, or I can't have that, or I would like more of this. We've even had students say, hey, have you thought about cooking this? And Mark Wagner will say, hey, come on back, let's talk about it. And sometimes that stuff ends up on the menu. So this I'm gonna brag about our school a little bit. We are all about community. If a student has a need, let's talk about that need and let's fulfill it. I've witnessed that where a student talked about a certain food and no more than 2 weeks later, it was on the menu, and not just a small amount. It was for everybody on campus to try. So, yeah.
That's great. I know we can do gluten-free for students. We can do kosher for students. We can we have vegetarian options for students. And so once the full year gets underway, there'll be a few different locations on campus where students can access food. And they are not all open the same hours, but among the different hours that they're open, we can make sure that students are fed. And then they can, of course, have some things in their room to tide them over. But one of the other questions a parent has asked here is about move-in. And so how do folks know when they are allowed to move in? I know we've got some folks moving in early for athletics. We've got other folks who might be, and so those camps might be starting at different times. What's the best resource for figuring out when your move-in day and or time would be?
Great question. That best resource will come out of our office. We will be sending emails very soon about move-in dates and times. Once they've been solidified, they'll also be on our website. We are going to pepper that with our marketing department pretty swiftly regarding dates and times. Freshman class, you guys are up first, the 28th, excuse me, for move-in. And our whole residence life team and Chris's team will be there. We will have some faculty members walking around. There's a little buzz about some board members that will also be hanging out, which is awesome. And then other departments from the school will be here to help out within that move-in day. So the time starts at 9 a.m. And again, before, when we get the data, we'll know if we have to adjust that time frame, but I do believe we're going to stick to that 9 o'clock time frame for move-in.
That's great. And then is in terms of that move-in, one of the other questions that popped up on our Facebook parent page, and yes, I'm continuing to promote the parent Facebook page because we get a lot of good chatter going on there. I'll put the address in the chat. But one of the questions is, do freshmen have to live on campus? What is our policy for residential living among our new students?
Yes, they do. We would love for our freshmen to live on campus. I think the biggest push is learning how to college, learning to be safe, learning that sense of community. And, as a dad, I would panic if my freshman did not want to live on campus if I dropped my daughters off at school. But this is where they learn that sense of community away from home. And it starts early. And we want them to develop some great habits and understand that there are people here that care for them outside of their immediate family that aren't family. So yes, we want our students to be on campus their freshman year. So that is a rule. Hard rule.
And if we have families who live in Howard's Grove or Plymouth or Sheboygan, who do they talk to say, I appreciate the wise counsel that Mark Edmond has shared about developing that community of residents, but we just live 10 minutes away. Does my student have to move on campus?
Meg, I don't want to answer that question.
So you strongly encourage it, no matter how far away you are from home.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, one thing I've noticed too is when commuters are on an athletic team and they have some of those late practices, or the bus gets in late or leaves early, sometimes it's nice just to roll off the bus and roll into bed.
Yes, short story, I moved off campus my junior year, and I played football, and we had some long trips back. That was the worst drive home. And I only stay like 10 minutes away from 15 minutes away from campus. Yeah, we strongly suggest you you stick it out with us. It's that sense of community.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the folks in our meeting tonight? Chris, is there anything you thought I should have asked you that I didn't?
No, not really. The only thing that I could think to add to what we've already talked about, I know early on we talked about, Lakeland is a great, safe community, and it really is. We've got a great track record. We live in a great county here in the state of Wisconsin. So if any of you are not from Wisconsin, it's a nice rural area, but it doesn't mean that things can't happen here. And we always want to remember that. That's why I really try to enforce to everybody, if you see something, say something. It's something that I've always said to people I strongly believe in. Don't ever be afraid to say, hey, that car just, or that person over in a certain area, it just doesn't look right, because we can always check it out and maybe it's fine. But it's that one time that it's not fine, that if you told us about it and we can take care of whatever issue there may be, that's a good thing. So just remember, we're not immune. And I use this in law enforcement as well. Plymouth, I work in the city of Plymouth, which is just a short distance away from the colleges or university itself. And even there, it's a small community of 9,800 people, but it doesn't mean we're immune from those issues we see in the big communities around us. So, we're not immune here, and that's why we're here, to make sure things stay safe. But we really do have a great community here. And don't forget about the shuttle. That's the one thing I forgot to mention. You talked about cars. If you can't bring your car, there's always a shuttle.
Yeah, so the shuttle, they sign up ahead of time. We have regular shopping runs, right? So if you get here and you realized you forgot one bin and it was full of all the really important supplies, you can just run down the road to Walmart, or you can hop on the shuttle and we'll help you get those supplies, right?
Exactly. Yep. You sign up for your shuttle ride, and it can get you to some of the upperclassmen, they use it for off-campus jobs, especially the co-op program students, that trip to the grocery store, just because maybe it's that holiday time and there's not as many things open as here on campus. You've got you got those midnight hungers, and you just want something in your room to make. So yeah, the shuttle actually operates pretty late, so they can get you from point A to point B and back pretty quickly. And we've got some great communities around us. I mean, there's always, a Walmart or some grocery stores to go to, whether you go into Plymouth or the city of Sheboygan, even the Howard's Grove during the daytime. Howard's Grove is another small community near us, but they've got some options as well.
The other thing, I want to brag on Chris for a little bit. He's hired some great people. I know some of the communities that I've come from and other folks that I've talked to are fearful of the quote unquote badge or the look of our campus safety team, but I have heard a lot of silly, goofy, fun conversations between the students and the campus safety officer. So please don't think that these individuals aren't approachable. They are fun people. They have a life outside of what you see, which is the badge and the color scheme and the pants with the pockets. Like, they are good folks. So please don't have the fear of those individuals not being warm, welcoming folks. Like, they are a good group. So good job, Chris, and those hires, man.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mark. We appreciate that. And that's true. I mean, we try to instill in our staff to be approachable. Yeah, you know what? We all grew up with law enforcement in our lives. I get it. I've been a cop for almost 30 years, but I still drive down the road. And if I see a squad car, where does my foot go? Right to the brake. Doesn't matter if you're speeding or not. It goes to break. We all have that ingrained into us, throughout the years. When you see law enforcement or an authoritative figure, we all kind of stop and go, oh. And Mark and I can, when I walk into a room and if I've got my uniform on and I'm carrying a gun, and Mark just kind of stops, like, oh yeah, it's just Chris. It's fine. And that's what we want for the students too. There's going to be those times when we have to be that authoritative figure. But we also want to have those times where we can just stop in a hallway. Hey, how's it going? Great to see you. How's sports doing? Are you feeling okay? I mean, whatever the topic is, wherever you want to lay on our shoulders, that's what we're here for. We got big shoulders. We can handle it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks. And Mark, any last parting words, questions I didn't ask you? You know me, I ask a lot of questions, but I don't ask them all. So what did I miss? What was something that you were hoping to share with our new students and their families that I just didn't get to?
Meg, never. You always ask the great questions. But what I would like to say is please trust us. I know that this will be a trying time. Even if this is not your first child you're sending to school, but it's different when that bird flies out of the nest. But trust us. I would also put some accountability measures on your child or the person that you're sending to school, because this is new, this is different. Have some patience, because all the information that they get, they're not going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you right now, they are not going to let you know everything that we send. But give them the benefit of the doubt and trust us. And I can speak for the folks on this call, and if I'm wrong, you can tell me to shut up. But the whole dynamic of genuinely caring, oh my goodness, it is so strong here. This is the first job where I've been okay with being emotional. So trust us, because we have some people here that do care. This isn't your child is a number. A lot of parents have my personal cell phone. We care. We truly, truly, truly care. So trust us in this process. Thank you. That's all I got.
That's good stuff. That's good
I'll
stuff.
add real quick. That is absolutely so true, because trust me, it's hard to hold back, because we get it. You bring your son or your daughter to campus, and just when you're getting ready to leave and they're starting to go in, maybe there's some tears and a big hug, and we're fighting back, trying to rush up and join in that big hug.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful place to be, and there will be bumps and there will be challenges, but I appreciate working with you to make sure that it's a positive experience for the students, and we enjoy working together to make that happen too. So we'll stick around for a couple more minutes. If anybody has questions they were uncomfortable asking while we were in group, but in the meantime, we invite you to plan for next week's presentation. Sue Bielk will be with us from our financial aid department. So if you have questions about how all that stuff works, which we know can be complicated, please join us next week for that call. We should have a video up for you to watch very soon, if it's not there already, on our orientation webpage. But keep the questions coming. Please join us on the Facebook page and keep the questions going so that we can answer them as they come up for you. And otherwise, we look forward to seeing you in August. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.